This is my entry to Jamie Oliver's Search for a FoodTube Star with Uncle Ben's Competition. I'm gonna make Italian cabbage and rice, which is what my Nonna Chiarina used to make when we would visit. I lived in Scotland and we would go visit Nonna and Nonno in Italy every summer. And it's very healthy, very simple, very delicious, which is the most important thing, because who wants to eat healthy food that tastes bad? We have celery, onion, cabbage, rice, and some olive oil and tomatoes we're gonna add in. That's basically it. You can add a little pancetta to the beginning if you wanna make it really flavorful, but to make it vegetarian, vegan even, you just skip the pancetta. So let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is chop the onion and celery, which is very easy. And you don't have to make it fancy or anything, just dice the onion. I know that a lot of people throw away the green leaves of celery, and that's such a no-no because it's so good for you, especially in a dish like this. So I'm just gonna finely chop this. Okay, so now we're gonna chop the cabbage, cut it in half, and cut that in half. And this is a small cabbage, and it's actually called a Savoy cabbage. It's a lot more wrinkly. Looks like a wrinkled old cabbage instead of having smooth leaves. So there's no fancy way in cutting up the cabbage. Just chop it up so it's into little pieces. And we're gonna put in a nice heavy, like casserole pot, about 3 tablespoons of really good quality olive oil. That's one of the things that I always stress. Use the best quality ingredients you can get your hands on, because it's not gonna taste good if you start out with less than stellar ingredients. This in the pot. Let's see if we can get most of it in the pot, then on the floor. So the celery and onion sautés for about 5 to 7 minutes. And the great thing about this recipe is you really don't have to measure anything if you don't want to. The only difference will be a little bit more onion, a little bit less celery. If you put more water, it'll be more soupy. If you put less water, it'll be more dry. It all tastes great. So I'm gonna add some tomato puree. These are from Italy. And I'm just gonna put maybe a cup of tomato. And stir that around, let that cook for a minute. So I'm adding about 4 cups of water, or a liter. And we're gonna bring that to a boil. And we can add the cabbage now. And let that come to a boil, and then we're gonna let it simmer. Okay, so we're gonna stir this around, and we're gonna let it simmer for about 5 minutes until it goes down a little bit, and then we're going to add the rice. Salt, very important to bring out all the flavors. Now it's been simmering for about 5 minutes. We're gonna add the rice. I'm using about half a cup or so. So I'm using white rice, but in this you can really use any rice you like. While it's simmering, every 10 minutes or so, just give it a quick stir. So now we're just going to scoop some in there. And the last thing we want to do is add a little grated pecorino cheese. You can use Parmigiano or Parmesan, depending on how you want to say it. You can make this. It's so easy, so delicious. You saw, you don't even have to measure things. You just can't mess this up. Thanks for stopping by Christina's Cucina. Buon appetito!